All right, there we go. There's the mic. That doesn't sound like it's very loud. Can't tell. Let me see. Is that where it needs to be? No, nowhere near. There we go. Now should be there. Still not loud as it ought to be, but something's not right. Let's see. I'll turn it up over there. Okay, cool. That sounds better, I think. I don't know, hard to tell. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. Looks like we got a room full of folks out there. A couple of new folks. Melissa, welcome. Good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you, Paul, and Biscuit, and Luke, Zero. Let's see, who else is here? And Paul, I saw your comment about coming in from sunny Maryland. I can tell you it's not sunny. We're having a hella storm outside, or were just a few minutes ago. So if I suddenly like frats out and go away, we're having, like I said, we're having a storm. So what are we looking at here? Okay. Let's see. Jack, nice to see you. Who else is here? Let me look at the participants list. Looks like I got everybody. Okay, good. Cool. I don't like missing people if I can help it. So, Luke, I guess you're having weather-related delays up there because you were going to go pick up your wife at the airport. So delayed again, huh? Any idea when she's going to make it home? And, yeah. So, it came in just as the rains were pouring down. Yeah, it's well, I saw some. I didn't have time to load them into the system, but okay, cool. 3 hours. Well, I'll be done well before then. I say this all the time, but you know, it's like I'm going to try and make this a short one tonight. You laugh, I know. But because we all know how that always goes here, but I do have to get up early tomorrow and try and make my way into DC. Yeah, you're laughing. I see that, Luke. So anyway, real quick, as usual, we'll go through the what's in the jam. I'll bring up the computer on screen for that. Actually, we'll do it. We'll do it that way. And let's see. So what you're hearing now is the drone that you're hearing now is coming in from the Arturia SQ80V plug-in. And you know, I did Paul, years ago I did that, and I will never do that again. So anyway, this the SQ80V is a sort of recreation of Ensonic's SQ80, and I know Arturia did a bunch of add-ins to it to make it a little more than the original was. So that's but I love this. I love this synth. If I'm ever going to buy an old Ensonic synth again, I would buy an SQ80. I think if I could find one at a reasonable price. Jack, yes, this is Ableton Live, and I've been was experimenting with a bunch of stuff, and so I'll talk about that too. But there's today's setup or tonight's setup is based on the setup that we used for the jam yesterday, and I was really happy with most of how everything went yesterday. So that's caused some more fun to happen here. So anyway, like I say, the drone is SQ80. I got a couple things set up a little oddly here tonight, so I want to be careful what I'm doing as I'm going through these. So this little arpeggiated thing that sounds like this is made from one of the included synthesizers that you get with every version of Ableton Live called Drift. And then I followed it up. It's all this whole little channel strip that you see all through here. Everything in here is included in the most basic free version of Ableton Live that comes with a lot of MIDI keyboard controllers. So I kind of challenged myself a few weeks back to do an entire evening of just the included synths. So you can get some really nice stuff there. But that's the only thing from included that I'm using this week. So there's another arpeggiator that was going, which is this thing that you're going to hear in a moment. And this is from done in a synth called Zyklop, which is the free version of half of the Myth synthesizer by Dawson. And for quick, easy arpeggiator kind of stuff like this, I like using the half version better because it's a little quicker to get going and doesn't take up as much of my system. So, Paul, I did something similar to that. I didn't use the Ableton granular synthesizer. I used a bunch of different synthesizers actually. A couple of years back, I guess it's been almost a couple of years back now. One of the other YouTube channels, Freebeat, did a challenge to use a sample challenge and use it in the song. And I actually took the sample and made a whole bunch of different instruments with it, and ended up publishing it. There's a song on my channel. I can't remember the title of it off the top of my head, but it's from that challenge. I'll put a link to it in the show notes for tonight when I'm done. Every sound was a little different in that track, or a lot different in that track, and I did actually include the original sound a couple of times too in a couple of different ways. So that was a fun challenge. So anyway, that's this particular little arpeggiator going. Get both of those out. I did not use this sound tonight, this next sound tonight yet. I did use it yesterday, and I wasn't particularly happy with it yesterday, but it's a bass sound that in Pigments and oops, wrong one. It'll start in a second. I wasn't real thrilled with this yesterday. It kind of sort of got in its own way, I think, along with all the other stuff that was going on. So one of the things I might fool around with tonight is seeing if I can make this a little better, a little more usable. We'll see how it goes. And also in the jam are, let's see, let me go ahead and ask the overhead camera to look at something else real quick. And I'm going to make sure it's actually going there. Okay, yep. Also in the jam, go ahead and take a look over here, are the Polybrute, which was doing this kind of string patty sound. And the Korg Multipoly, which has been doing this, it's a modified bass sound, which I've obviously got pitched way up because that's not bass. I'm using it as a lead. Let me get it on the other keyboard. The original of this is more down here. This is really cool because I can have it, I can throw the filter around. Which was kind of fun during our jam yesterday. Let's see, did I play anything else? I think that is, oh, also here, and I'll just go ahead and go back to that. You won't be able to see this. That's not real exciting to look at. But on the Op6, oops, on the Op6, we had this kind of theremin-ish. So that's pretty much it for what was in the show tonight as far as the instruments go. And I'm trying to line something else up. So there was another thing that I did over the weekend or on Sunday at the live jam that I haven't done in a very long time, or actually, and I've never really used it live. Some time ago, I bought a I bought one of these Novation Launchpad Pros, and it mostly sits on the shelf. And I decided I was going to get it out yesterday and try and use it during the jam to make things a little smoother. And actually, it worked out really, really well. And so basically, I was able to use it to launch all the clips, all the various parts that I was playing. So just like to start the drone thing that was going, just tap that, it'll go. And each of the individual instruments, except the ones that I played live, are able to be just tapped in, so to speak. I can bring in this. And so this lets me kind of play through my arrangement, which is really cool. I've been trying to, and Paul actually was going to send you a note about this. I've been trying to come up with a way that I could do live performance relatively easily, and this, I think, is going to be the answer to that question. The only problem with this particular one is that it's too big for this space. So with the success from yesterday, I went ahead and ordered. They make a miniature version of this, which I went ahead and ordered today. Hopefully, I'll get that in a few days, and it'll make its debut on the channel in a couple 3 weeks, I think. But anyway, so that's it for what's in the jam and the new thing. So I didn't really have much of a plan for tonight, but let's see. You guys are talking about synthy stuff, which is what we do. No VSTs allowed. That's no fun. That's no fun. Tracy, good to see you. Thanks for checking in. So I did want to talk about one thing. Let me slide back here for a second. Studio's a bit of a mess. Sorry. Some of you know that I am particularly fond of a particular Sony headphone, and let's see if the camera's good, if I'm gonna be able to do what I want to do here. Okay, so I use these Sony MDR-7506 headphones. I've been using them pretty much since they came out in 91 or whatever it was. And I have 3 pair of them. And the problem with them, the only problem with them, is that actually you can see it better on this camera, the ear pads wear out and they start to flake off, and you walk away from a session or a show or whatever with all the little flaky bits in your ear and whatnot. So that's like the fallback, fall apart of these things. It's like this thing falls apart, and you can get new ones, but it's just going to happen again. And so the last time that I replaced it on 2 of the 3 pair, I got a particular recommended pad replacement, and they weren't super expensive, fortunately, because they were pretty terrible. They don't fit right, they slide around, and this is a major brand of these things, and they get sold by the major retailers. So I started looking around for a better way to do it, and learned that the ear pads from the Bear Dynamic DT250s are a good replacement. And I'll tell you what, these things, they're a perfect fit, an absolute perfect fit for the headphone. And a really nice thing that they don't slide around, and instead of being some sort of plasticky material, they're actually a nice soft cushy velour. Does a better job of isolating, and they sound really good. And no, I have not been paid for that. There's no, I just found this, and this is just, it's just, it works. But they're not expensive, but they're not cheap. It's $40 a set roughly. But it got to the point that it's like this pair, which was more comfortable because it still had the original pads on it, had deteriorated to the point. And I got to say, all 3 of my pairs of Sonys I've had since sometime in the early 90s. I bought the first pair, loved it. Bought a second pair because I was afraid they might break or get broken, and then I decided to get a third pair to have on site where I worked at the time. So that's why I have 3, and I only found the third pair had gone missing for a number of years, and I only actually found that pair a couple of months ago. So anyway, so the reason, Tracy, reason I initially chose closed, there's a couple reasons that I choose closed back headphones. One, I use them not just for studio work. I also use them for, I use a lot for live sound, where I need decent isolation. I also use them in radio, and the thing there, you kind of need a closed back in radio too, in a lot of cases, because your mics are heavily compressed, and any leak coming out of the back of the headphone gets picked up by the mic and causes feedback. So these became my standard, and despite their looks, they're built almost like tanks. I have yet to be able to figure out how to break a pair. Now, that said, I'll probably break a pair next week, but that's the way that goes. But I've been, like I said, I've been using this particular pair is the pair that I bought in 1991, and I'm still using it. The only thing I don't like about these headphones is the curly cable. So if and when one of these cables wears out, when I replace it, I'll go ahead and do a straight cable then. I have sat on these. That's the thing. It's like I've sat on these, I've dropped them, they've been stepped on, and I just pick them up and use them again. So the other thing I noticed too when I put these, the DT200 or DT250 ear pads on, is that it really it elevated it actually it elevated the sound quality. It's fuller, and there's more detail. I mean, it's just really a nice improvement to, as Paul said, a headset that's been $99 since it came out. There's been no price increase on these things ever, yeah, they would go on sale for $90. And I came to these. I had been using Quasor LV1s. I think they were LV10s. Sorry, LV10s. I've been using was my standard headphone, and they were an open back or semi-open back, and they were causing me feedback problems when I was doing radio work. So that's when I started looking for another headset and something better for live mix. So that's where I came into these. They still get heavy and warm on my head. I don't like. It depends. It depends on the model. Hey Jeff, good to see you. We're talking headphones at the moment. So if you go to, and I did this on Sweetwater. I did all my research on, or not all my, but a lot of my research on Sweetwater's site to see what was available. If you look at the Kony replacement pads for the 7506s, they also list what other headphones they fit. The same pad fits. So if your ATs are the same size shape as the Sonys, then these DT250s ought to fit. If Jeff is streaming, we definitely want to be out of the way before he starts, because I don't want to step on his time. So anyway, that's the headphones. I'm trying to think if there were a couple things I sort of wanted to talk about tonight. See, and my Quasor, my experience with the Daconis is completely the opposite. I find them uncomfortable, and they don't fit on the headphone real well. They get a pair out here. Still have Daconis on them. I got JBL headphones too. You can see how I just throw my headphones in a box. So these guys, these are the Daconis. These are the leather feel ones, and you see it just, I mean, it just slides around on there. Nowhere near a good fit. And so yeah, these are the one of the sheepskin models, I think. And they just slide. They don't fit well. And they're not as comfortable. The velours may have been more comfortable. I don't know. But like I say, based on the fit, I'm not real thrilled with the Daconis. And I think for the velours, the price on the Bear Dynamics are about the same as the Daconis. Sennheisers are good headphones too. I use Sennheisers at somebody's place. They obviously weren't my headphones. I've used them. I can't remember where it was I used them, but they're nice. There was another headphone too that got real popular back in the day, but like I said, once I found these, I just, I've stuck with them. I know them. That's the nice thing. Although I'm having to relearn them a little bit with the new pads, because it did alter the sound. I think in a good way, but it did alter the sound. Let's see. Oh, okay, so yours aren't on the Sonys. Gotcha. and they may fit others better. So the thing with the Deconis is they try and make them to fit several different models of headphone in one, and like they're trying to fit 4 or 5 different sets of cans, and that's never going to be as close as if you're, well, the Bears are technically made for one model of headphone, but they just happen to fit. So anyway, I showed those old fuzzy things. I'm going to throw them away now because they're done. Let's see. Check Audio Technica M50s. I've never used the M50s. There's another, the M20s, I think. I've used those. And I really want to try, I've never used them. I really want to try a pair of the Bear Dynamics. Probably the DT770s in the 80 ohm or 83 ohm or whatever they are. Is probably what I'll try with those. Anyway, so I did kind of say that what I wanted to fool with, or part of what I wanted to fool with tonight, was seeing if I could make that bass sound in Pigments any better. So we can, and my plan for tonight was just kind of muck about in the studio and talk a little bit. Well, so Jeff, I think these are super nice headphones, and they're not super expensive. That's the thing about it. A lot of these headphones, the headphone snobs they're expensive headphones too. And I get some of the expensive headphones are amazing, but I think I like stuff like this, a little less expensive, because it's more real world. Those JBL ones that I have are actually, except for not being all that comfy because of the pads that are on them, they sound really nice. I got the Quasor. Let's see, you got the, whoa, where did you disappeared? What happened? Where did you go, Quasor? What happened to Quasor? Oh, he's back. That's weird. That was really weird. It's like there was a bunch of your stuff there and it just went away on the... I see he's here. It's just really weird. He was in there and just dropped out. Now he's got 1 or 2 back. Oh, you deleted the post. Okay. I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, I was reading that. Yeah, and it's like I can't see it from where I can. Oh, there I see it. I see one, but there were more there, I thought. I guess they just scrolled off the screen. That's funny. Okay, that was it's just like weird. I'm looking on a different screen than what you guys are seeing, and so it just everything jumped, and all of Quasor's posts were like zoop gone. So anyway, he's back now. It's funny. One message retrieve. Yeah. So you were saying HD 600 sub 200. I'm not familiar with them, but it's okay. It's okay. It just startled me when it was like all of a sudden there's a stuff going away. Think about asking an audio interface mixer. Oh, okay, sure. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Zero. Ask a question. We'll make up an answer. Oh, that's right. I did see that, Quasor. I did see that. Okay, I saw that discussed somewhere. Gotcha. So Zero, what's your question about an audio interface or a mixer? And we'll argue about that for a while. Because I know Luke has got some excellent experience with certain interfaces. I have good experience with some and good in others. So anyway, ask away. Ask away. We will certainly, and I know that Paul has had some recent interesting experiences with audio interfaces. So you've got a good group tonight if you want to ask the question. We'll be glad to talk about it. So I'm going to go ahead and put the drone back. Oh, what is playing? I took my headphones off. I don't know what's playing. Okay. Take that off for the moment. But while we're waiting for Zero to come back, yeah, I say you've got the new Arturio Ferrofish combo, and you had the RME Digiface before that, I think it was. I've used a number of different ones over the years, so. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and pull the DAW back up, and we'll play around with Pigments here a little bit. I'm going to put the headphones back on, and turn the drone off, and then turn Pigments back on. So the problem I had with this sound over the weekend was it just seemed to kind of, I don't know, mush up. And I know there's a lot of, let's do one thing. There's a fair amount of, so Halfgod, which Behringer interface do you have? Is it the one that's basically unobtainium at this point? The 1820, I think it is. Because I'm hearing really good things about that one for not a lot of money. So anyway, yeah, you have the 1820. That thing's getting okay. We'll keep a drier sheet out for you. Yeah, that's why for the price it's hard to beat, and yeah, so okay. Agent tone port from Gearbox, got a long time ago, not good enough anymore. Dictaphone. I had audio over USB. Okay, so what are you looking for, Zero, in the way of inputs, outputs, you know, that kind of thing, and what's the problem that you're having with your current one? What's not good enough about it, I guess, is the question. Let's turn this. Yeah, I mean, it depends on exactly, it depends on what you need. If it's just a simple interface that you need, the Motu M series are fantastic. Get 2 and 2 out for now. So okay, so let's talk about the zooms, because I use the Zoom L20, so the it's going to be kind of similar. So like I said, I use the L20, and it's kind of the heart of my system. My only problem with the zooms, and I did some testing on another Zoom model that I have, older Zoom model that I have around. My only problem with the zooms is, actually there's a couple problems. One is that it is relatively speaking, it's kind of slow. And by that I mean that I can't get the latency down where I want it to be, and I can with the Motu. But my problem with the Motu that I've got the M4. It does not have enough inputs for, well, I'll show you. But it does not have enough inputs for all of this, So, this is the wiring plan for this place, and so I bought a big interface and didn't have a lot of money, so I got the L20. I also have the L12, I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about the L6. I know the L8, the L12, and the L20. You can do multi-track recording, but there are caveats involved with that as well. But it works. But my big problem with the Zoom is, number one, latency. Number two, on the Zooms, your DAW return channels eat up input channels. As far as I return the DAW on 2 USBs. I usually just use the stereo feed, but sometimes I will use the second stereo feed. And in fact, I'm using it now to drive the audio that goes into the visualizer, so that it reacts a little differently depending on what's going on. It's got its own mix. But that eats up 4 channels that could be used as inputs. Hey Kurt, good to see you. So that's a drawback to me, especially in the smaller ones, because if the L6, if you use 2 channels for DAW return, then then it's only now you've only got 4 inputs. So it's a to me that's a drawback. In a lot of other interfaces, the Behringer 1820, even the smaller Behringer, the 4x, its outputs do not conflict with its input. Having to return back to the DAW back into the interface for monitoring and whatnot doesn't, in those interfaces, it doesn't eat up inputs. And that's kind of a trade-off in pretty much any mixer that you use as an interface. And the exceptions are going to let's see, do they? When you start getting into the bigger Behringer digital mixers, the small Behringer digital mixers, meaning anything from the XR16 on down, are only 2x2 in and out of the computer. You may have multiple inputs, but you're only able to send 2 up to the computer at a time, or a stereo pair up at a time and a stereo pair back. When you get to the XR18 or MR18 and bigger, which includes the XR32, the new Wing, the Midas M32, and then their newer stuff. That's when you start getting as many channels as they have back and forth. But now I've used the X32 as an interface, and I've used the XR18 as an interface, and they also suffer because they're designed to be mixers first and interfaces second. Their latency is a little too high, I think. And so it's a matter of priority. If all you're doing is tracking and then mixing down, the latency isn't so much of an issue. And if you set up your mixing scenario, your tracking scenario appropriately, you may not have a problem either. Which when you're trying to do like what I'm doing now, so the way this is everything's set up here, everything runs through Ableton, including my microphone. So my mic's coming in here, and you see this other one here. There's another mic behind me. My mic comes into the interface, comes into Ableton Live, gets processed through Ableton Live, and I do that because I've got it set up so that when I talk, it pulls the level of any background music down. So that's going through, and then it gets pushed back to the interface and then back to my ears, and I'm actually monitoring the very end of the chain where it goes into or comes out of the video encoder. So there is right now a fairly substantial delay between when I speak and when I hear it back in my head. And I mean, I say substantial. It's right now my latency is 26 milliseconds. So it's almost into slapback echo territory. And so with the, if I were using the MkIII M4 right now, this would be on the order of my overall latency would be on the order of 10 or 12 milliseconds, which really isn't bad. And right now listening in my headphones, it's like I'm in a big room and I hear myself slapping back against the back wall. Now me, that doesn't bother me a whole lot, because in playing live, and playing and singing live in small clubs, the sound that bounces back at me off the back wall of the room is about the same as what's in my headphones. So I'm kind of used to it. It's not like it's a crazy thing for me. I have 3 interfaces, never used any of them. As Luke has said, if you need to be expandable later, consider finding an interface that support one or more sets of ADAT. The 2 Behringer models that we have talked about tonight, the 1820 and the 4, whatever the 4x4 model is, both support adding a 1 ADAT expander, which adds 8 inputs and 8 outputs, and you can do that relatively inexpensively. To get more than 2 sets of ADAT in and outs, it starts to get a lot pricier, but I don't know what your budget is, or if you even have a budget in mind as yet. But that's, those are my takes. I think Luke's takes in some ways are similar. I know Luke is he's using MkIII stuff, and he has talked about it some on his channel, and certainly in the Synth Seeker Discord. If you're a member of the Discord, you can we've chatted about interfaces there a fair chunk. I think the 404 does. Tell you what, that's always good, Luke. I'm gonna look at something while you guys aren't looking. I'm gonna jump to this other computer. Actually, we can do this. Let me do this and go here and here and here and go to Behringer. I'll show their website on my stream. Hopefully that won't get me in trouble, but what the heck. Let's see, where do they have it? Under musician. I don't. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, recording and broadcast. That's right. Audio interfaces, USB. 404. Does it have? Does it? I can't remember. Now I can't remember. Let's see. Find the rest of the pictures. No, apparently it doesn't. I thought it did have MIDI or ADAT. All right. Well, then that one's out. The one that we've been talking about is this guy. And it's got two mic inputs on the front, and all your, sorry about just zapping around so much, all of your level controls and monitoring controls. And then around back, there are another half dozen inputs and outputs. There's SPDIF and then the ADAT pipes. It also functions as a MIDI interface. So, and they're not real expensive. I'm not going to quote prices because I don't know what they are. I would have to go somewhere else for that. But I think they're very reasonable. And actually, I'm actually thinking about getting one of these and the ADAT expansion gizmo, and hope that the latency is lower than what I'm getting now. But that's down the road because this is working okay. For what I'm doing. It's the current setup is not horrible. So I'd have to sell some other stuff off first. Let's see. I think they used to have a smaller interface that had ADAT, or maybe I'm confusing them with someone else. Someone else is affordable. That's the thing. Right now, the 1820s are, at least in the States, unobtainium, unless. Curious about something. I'm going to look up something on my other computer because I don't want to put retailer sites up on the screen. There are two places in the U.S. that you can get Behringer stuff, and new anyway. And I'm going to look and see if the other place has them in stock or not. La 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 la. Scrolling, because their search is terrible. There we go. Yeah, they're not in stock at either official U.S. Dealer, distributor. So yeah, so they're however many weeks out they are before you could get one, which is kind of a drag. I did go ahead and put the thing on the one site to let me know when they're available. Quasor is retracting messages again. So I've not used any of the PreSonus interfaces. So I can't answer that. I don't know if anybody else has used one or not. The Quasor, the PreSonus, they look like decent. They look like they're decent enough interfaces, but like I said, I've never tried one. The Scarletts are they've got the the Focusrite in general have had kind of a checkered history, but the newest versions are supposed to be amazingly good. The Gen 4s, and they're supposed to be absolutely fantastic. The only experience I have with Focusrite was probably about I want to say about 10 years ago, and it was the original 2i2 model, and it was fine. I don't know what anybody was griping about for it. We used it in a situation of getting the it was at a small radio station, and we were setting up our streaming for the radio, and that's what we used for the input and output from the computer, and it worked great. You know, it worked just fine. Somebody said something about a sound blaster. Oh, okay. I remember years and years ago using the Sound Blaster Pro, and then you loaded, but the latency on the Sound Blaster Pros was terrible. But if you use the EMU drivers for one of the other EMU interfaces, it actually made the Sound Blaster really an awesome interface. And so you could basically get the EMU interface for like a third the cost. So that was always that was an interesting trick way back in the day. I mean, this is way back. Yeah, Tracy, you're right. You know, yeah, we make lots of strange decisions. There's a couple different. This is a different form of FOMO, you know, and it's just it's there's a Chinese proverb slash saying slash curse, I think, and I think we're living the curse version of it. It says, "May you live in interesting times," and you know, it's interesting times, that's for sure. So I don't know about the you know, where the who makes who's for what anymore. I used to really be into knowing, you know, who made what. A lot of folks were using custom chips. I would be pretty certain that Behringer is not using Realtek. The amount of money they've spent on being able to do their own manufacturing at the chip level is I'm doubt they're using anything but their own at this point. They don't have to buy anything anymore from anybody else if they don't want to. I have not opened up the Zoom. I don't know what's in there. But so anyway, my Zoom is working. My other Zoom, my 12, works fine. So yeah, Jack. A lot of chips do come from one or two factories. I know that, like I said, Behringer has geared because Behringer couldn't get chips specific chips they wanted. They went into the chip manufacturing business, and so they're making pretty much all their own chips now. So like I said, I doubt Behringer is using Realtek. Don't know, haven't been inside, but just knowing what they've been doing. As far as others, like I said, I haven't been inside. there used to be a big deal about people using their own chips. So I don't know what's going on anymore. I know that, but like I said, I know that there are, a very small number of big chip manufacturers. I think we're hoping to see that, or going to see that change. I don't know if it's going to be a painful period while it's happening. Well, it's not just proms. I mean, they're actually manufacturing the dies themselves. They're making their own silicon. And yeah, Cirrus Logic. Cirrus Logic was another big one. That's right. I remember Cirrus Logic. They've been around for quite some time. So, anyway, basic design is not crazy, is it? As opposed to Crazy Ivan. Anyway, let's pull the DAW back up. Let's get where do I have this? Bass guy. Okay, so I'm going to play the bass line. Stop the drone. Looking at the chat. So we're come back here. Let's see. So anyway, this thing on Sunday, and Jeff, you could probably speak to this too. This just got mushy, and I don't know why. I do and don't know why. I tried cutting out the low end and in where it was supposed to be mushy, and it just seemed to mud up. So I still want low end, but I don't want it to turn into mush, and I've been struggling with this sound to that end. And it's like I don't have a big sloppy sine wave going down there. Makes silicon carbide crystals for computer chips. Let's look at increased stereo field in the bass. Oh, maybe it's doing weird cancellation stuff and leaving the so that that might be coming out of the delay that I added on the tail end. Turn the delay off. I would see what do I have handy that I can do that with, because I don't know if I can do that. I can't do that in the bass mono. Oh, I know what I can do. I can't do the bass mono within Pigments itself, but what I can do, let's go into audio effects. I think I can do that with a utility in Ableton utility. Drop that in there, bass mono. And then let's look at the delay and see if I can bass mono that. I'm going to have to pull the chat out for a second. I don't know if this one has a bass mono or not. It doesn't. But if we ditch the ping pong, I can kill the deck. That's the filter width. All right, let's see what happens then. We've done that. Let's see what happens if we throw it back into the mix. Like EQ8 shows it to the left of your chain. So what I did, I got this compressor in here. We can probably turn that off. So after the, we can probably do that better there too. So basically, we've taken everything below 120 hertz, thrown it to mono. The rest of the width is as normal, so I'm not doing anything weird there. Passing it through EQ. Let's pull that. Well, that's where the power is, though, in this one. I don't want to take too much of that away, or it won't have any lows anymore. Man, taking that ping pong off the delay sure made it dead. Wow. All right, well, there's that. Keep put a utility. Oh, okay. Yeah, we could do that. Okay. That's a thought. It almost sounds like that, like the bass is what was moving around a lot, though. So if I high pass before the delay, Paul, then I'll lose the bass. And it's just supposed to be a bass. Put the compressor back on. All right, let's see what happens if we put it in the mix. Yeah, the other thing I could do, I could build a rack too, which would take a bit of time. We can go ahead and quickly throw another return. Let's take echo and throw it on the return. We can do this will let us do the high pass or sort of do a high pass going into the echo. Actually, let's do this. So I got the same settings. Delete that out of there. Jump over to here. Copy this. Stick it there. Oh, and let's see. Just to make it easy and quick, I'm just going to throw an EQ8 there for the how the heck did I do that? All right, I'm just going to use this as the high pass filter. It'll work fine. Okay, now go back over to here. Oops. Kill that. Send D. Here. Set my mix there. Probably don't need this in this chain. back here, a little more send. Still hearing a bit of rumble in that bass, but not as much mud. So this is much better. Find that rumble. This already sounds much more controlled than it was yesterday. Nice. And now we can go in and we can actually give ourselves a little. We could actually go ahead and throw a little extra width on it now. Because very little of the actual bass is being processed by the delay. That's the thing, yeah, we've kind of lost the sub, which will filter right up on play and use the one on the original chain too as drive. So which one are you saying to use? You get the chat out of the way here. But I don't have this delay anymore, so I've still got the so let's see if I know what. Let me do this. Here we go. I'm gonna make that send. Now I gotta go back and fix this other thing, but I'm gonna need another utility over here. Actually, I just need less of this. Okay, so now we'll go back to the original channel. There's still too much of that mess. So what I wanted to do there was I wanted to send. I was hoping to send the. That doesn't sound right at all. I was hoping to send the bass out of Pigments before everything into that into this, and maybe. The slow one. That's a little better. Okay, Luke, thanks for coming. Like I said, say hi to Sarah for me. And what time is it, Jeff? It's time for Jeff to start getting ready. So, guys, this has been fun. I'm going to play some more music, and yeah, cool. Thanks, everybody. Jeff's got to go figure out his stuff for his show. He's up in about 10 minutes. So at this point, I'm just going to play some more music. Thank you all for coming. And you guys are looking at the DAW. I'm running my mouth. Here we go. Everything needs to come down 3 dB in masters clipping. I didn't even notice that. Thanks, Paul. Let me jump back over here. And I think it's the bass that's causing it to clip because nothing else has come up. So I can do that from controller. And it may be that return. This. It's interesting, I'm not showing the master clipping there. Let me jump back here. Yeah, it was the, well, it's mostly my mic, I think, that's causing it to clip. Jack, thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks everybody for coming, and like I say, good conversations tonight. Good stuff. Thanks everybody. I'm going to make some music. You all have a fantastic rest of your evening. I would encourage you, please go over at 9:30 and catch Jeff Hopkins on his stream. Always interesting stuff over there. He is the master of the one of the masters of the breath controller. He's always got some interesting sounds and great great visuals to go with them. So we will catch you all. Oh, one thing, but real quick before I go, just to let you know, no stream next week. I will not be up next week. I have got to go to a convention in lovely Las Vegas. So unfortunately, it's over the Monday night. So that would be that. Depending on how things go, it's in order for me to do 8 o'clock stream out there, it's 6 p.m. In Vegas, I think. At 5 or 6, whatever time it is, or 7. Anyway, it's early, and I don't know that I'll be able to make it back to the hotel room and get set up in time to do a stream. So I may take some stuff with me. If I get to it, I will. Otherwise, we'll see what happens. And yeah, I heard about that. It was probably a great show. So anyway, that's it. Like I said, going to do it for me. Thank you all for coming. We will catch you all later. Oh, that's not looking where I wanted to look. Hang on for a wild ride, guys.